You're looking at a North Korean military parade. All that rigid formality, but if you look closer, there's this one woman with just a smile. She might not look the part, but believe me, she's right at the center of power.
So who is she? Well, that's Kim Yo Jong. She's the younger sister of the supreme leader, Kim Jong Un, and for a long time she was basically a ghost, deliberately hidden from the public eye. But now she's one of the most visible figures in the entire regime.
And when you hear people call her the world's most dangerous woman, that's not just some headline for clicks. Nope. Intelligence experts are the ones sounding the alarm, saying that behind that, unassuming look is an incredibly powerful political operator, someone you absolutely do not want to underestimate.
So that's the big question, right? How does someone go from being this hidden, almost mythical princess to the regime's top enforcer, and maybe even the next in line? We're going to trace that journey, this very quiet, very calculated climb from complete secrecy right into the inner circle of the most isolated country on Earth.
All right, to really get a handle on her power, we've got to go back, way back. Her entire childhood was spent hidden away, completely out of the public eye. I mean, it was a life of incredible privilege for sure, but it was also a life lived inside a gilded cage.
She was born around 1987, the youngest daughter of the leader at the time, Kim Jong Un. And get this, when she was only 9, she was packed off to a public school in Switzerland, living under a fake name. Her brother, Kim Jong Un, joined her there. And the world really had no idea who she was until 2011, when she suddenly appeared at her father's funeral. That was the signal, the quiet announcement that she was now part of the inner circle.
Now, you might hear public school and ordinary apartment and think they had a normal life over there in Switzerland. But no, not even close. Their life was anything but normal. It was this whole meticulously managed operation. They were under constant surveillance by North Korean officials, even relatives, and a whole team of bodyguards pretending to be regular people.
And you have to understand, that experience, being isolated together in a foreign country, it created this absolutely unbreakable bond of trust between her and her brother. In a regime like North Korea where loyalty is everything and a single misstep can be fatal, that kind of bond is priceless. It's the foundation of her power. It's all about the Kim dynasty bloodline. At the end of the day, no one can be trusted the way family can.
So when it was time for her to officially join the government, she didn't start at the bottom, not at all. She was put right at the center of it all, right at the heart of the propaganda machine, the part of the government that literally controls everything people in North Korea see, hear, and are allowed to think.
And her rise was fast and really strategic. First, at just 23 years old, she's made his tour manager. Now that sounds like a simple job, right? But it gave her total control over his travel, his security, everything. Then, just a couple of years later, she becomes the vice director of the propaganda department. Officially, she was the number 2, but everyone knew she was the one really running the show. And her main job? To build this larger-than-life public image for her brother, essentially turning him into a modern version of their godlike grandfather, Kim Il-sung.
You see, in a place like North Korea, information isn't just information. It's power. It's the ultimate form of power. And she became the number 1 person in charge of it all, the chief gatekeeper. Her control was so total and so directly tied to the regime's human rights violations that in 2017, the United States actually put her on its official sanctions list. Okay, so once she had all that internal power locked down, she started to appear on the world stage. And this is where things get really interesting, because we start to see 2 completely different sides of her emerge. You've got the smiling, charming diplomat, and then you've got the absolutely ruthless enforcer. Think back to the 2018 Winter Olympics. She was the face of this big charm offensive, all smiles, presenting this very soft image to the world. Fast forward to 2020, and that image is just gone, shattered. She starts putting out these incredibly harsh statements herself, calling people who escaped scum, threatening the US, even personally insulting President Biden, calling him an old man with no future, a total 180. So what happened? Well, the real turning point seems to be April 2020. Remember when Kim Jong Un just disappeared for a while? Rumors were flying everywhere that he might be dead. And in the middle of all that chaos, a statement comes out, not from some general, but in her name. And it was vicious. She called South Korea a dog yelping with fear. The message couldn't have been clearer. If my brother's not here, I'm in charge, and I'm ready. And it's not just tough talk.
This rhetoric is backed up by some truly ruthless actions. We have reports from defectors and intelligence agencies linking her to some pretty horrific stuff. Things like the execution of her own uncle, the assassination of her half-brother using a nerve agent, and even personally ordering the demolition of the North-South Liaison Office, a building that was supposed to be a symbol of peace. These aren't just random acts of anger, they're calculated moves, designed to prove she has what it takes to rule in that system.
So yeah, the message is pretty clear. In the system she's a key part of, power comes from one thing: absolute fear. And nobody, not even a family member, is safe if they're seen as disloyal.
So you put it all together, the family bloodline, complete control over all information, and this proven track record of ruthlessness, it's all combined to make her the undisputed #2 in North Korea. There's no one else.
And if you want proof of that, just look at who's speaking for the government. For decades, only the supreme leader himself would issue those big official state declarations. But in just the last few years, Kim Yo Jong has personally issued more than 40 of them. She is, for all intents and purposes, the voice of the regime now.
So, let's break it down. Why does everyone think she's the one who will take over? Well, first, she's on the highest decision-making commission in the country. Second, as we said, she has her brother's total trust. Third, she controls the two most important things: propaganda and security. A really big one is that Kim Jong Un's kids are just way too young to rule. And finally, she's shown over and over again that she's ruthless enough to do the job.
And look, this isn't just guesswork from people on the outside. We have a quote from Tae Young-ho. He was a very high-level diplomat for North Korea before he defected, and he's crystal clear about it. He says if Kim Jong Un dies suddenly, the power will be handed straight to Yo Jong, no question.
And all of this really leads us to one pretty sobering final question. She's gone from this silent figure hiding in the background to the regime's public, iron-fisted enforcer. And she's proven she can be just as aggressive as her father or brother, maybe even more so. So if that day comes, is the world really ready for what comes next? A new kind of leader who has the family name, a personal history of being utterly ruthless, and, of course, control of a nuclear arsenal.